G'day guys, Kale here, welcome to my studio, and today we're going to build something amazing, something fantastical, something magical. But I've got no idea what it's going to look like yet, because I haven't built it yet. Everything you're seeing here, it gets added afterwards in the edit. So let's step back a moment and talk about the process. What do I want to build? Well, it's a simple idea here. The best ideas are always simple ideas. It's the secret under Hogsmeade. We're all familiar with the Chamber of Secrets, we see in Harry Potter, it's there under Hogsmeade, and then a little later, in The Prisoner of Azkaban, we get to see Hogsmeade, which has a rich lore connecting it to Hogsmeade. There's a myriad of tunnels that connect the two, for instance, and I reckon if you dig down a little bit deeper, you're going to find something kind of spooky under Hogsmeade. What is that secret? Well, that's the seed for this build. But before we get into the building process and what we're going to build today, let's talk a little bit about how it started. And that's with the current 20th anniversary Harry Potter sets. They are a beautiful collection. You get so many sets. You can expand the Hogwarts by adding in classrooms and just really make it huge. It's a great set of play sets, but as sets for an AFOL, well, the only one I would personally choose to display in my own house is probably Hogsmeade itself. The others are all really, well, I'm seeing them as parts packs to do things like what I'm about to do with them. And today's build is starting with one of those sets, the Chamber of Secrets. Just over 1,000 parts, 11 minifigures, a whole bunch of cool parts, but what can I do with it? How can I take the set further? Kale scaling, you know? There's just over 1,000 parts in it. You get some awesome minifigures, including the golden commemorative minifigures. You get the gorgeous little printed tiles that we've had in all the 20th anniversary sets. I can't remember how many came in this one. And these little snake guy parts here, I'm loving those parts. So I've started a little bit of building here. And, well, there's a second chamber. What are the extra secrets? What's the story behind it? And create something riffing on that theme. That's basically how the build started. The way I like to build usually is starting with little mini sections of the build. I'll always have an idea in general of how I want it to look in my head. I don't usually sketch it, but for this one, to give you guys some visual aids I have, this is what it is intended to look like. The key feature for the lower level will be a Medusa head. Hair of flowing snakes. It's intended to riff on the statue of Slytherin we see in the movies, but also be its own creation. Inspired by, but not based on. Importantly though, you need to leave room in your planning for loose changes as you progress through the build. Knowing you want a Medusa head is not the same as knowing its exact dimensions, so you don't want to lock yourself out of the ability to make changes later. Like over here, I've got this kind of little tower pillar. I want that old school style vibe, the kind of architecture you would find in an archaeological dig, but not just any archaeological dig, the kind you would find in an Indiana Jones movie or Harry Potter. It's fantastical and it's amazing. That's the vibe I'm going for here. So many pillars though, because it's an iterative process and experimentation needs to be part of that process. Locking in the base. 4x2, 16x16 base plates. That gives me 64 studs worth of space across to work with. Fits perfectly with the Lego grid. Very easy to work with there. And then yeah, it gives me that forward space I need. I'm not 100% sold on that though. I feel like in order to transport it, it might be a bit better to have that front section slot in and out. So, well, these are the kind of things that start become evident once you start constructing it like this and blocking in the elements. Because, for instance, I had imagined a gradual sloping curve to the stairs coming around the front there. Assembling this here, well, like, basically, they're not going to be a gradual curve. The other ideas that I had in my head at the beginning though, of the doors behind opening onto a little balcony that is shaped by the top of the head here, which I'm going to start calling a Slytherin head. It's starting to take on its own personality. And you know what? I always know a build is working when elements do start to take on their own personality. So I'm calling this guy George here. George Slytherin, he's a magical master And, like, he's here to do you in, Harry. Watch out! Yeah, I don't know too much. You tell me, you draw the line. Anyway, comments down below, right? To recap, plan loosely. It's an iterative process, so focus on the key details first. The snake pillars here, and the head, the Medusa head, they came out of my head almost fully formed. Like, the builds were so quick. Meanwhile, I couldn't decide on what to do with the water. I experimented on that for way too long. And then I went to bed and woke up and saw that LEGO Ideas had announced a 20th anniversary Harry Potter contest. So with that as inspiration, I really lent into the vibe, and the build is really better for it. You can see the number 20 swirling under the water there. Including those snakes on the Medusa's head, there are a total of 20 snakes hidden throughout the entire build. And that brings me to the last tip. If you do something clever in a build, you gotta tell people. That's a lesson I learnt the hard way, but the truth is, people will really appreciate you doing so. Because relatedly, there's a lot of what people would probably call NPU at work here. Things like using the wands as hinges on the door. But sometimes simple is best. The simplicity gives the canvas of the mock room to breathe. The rockwork, for instance, it's a very simple technique. It deserves its own video too though, so I'll leave that for another time. So for now, thanks for watching guys. If you've got this far, make sure you subscribe, tell your friends, share the love basically, and stay awesome. I'll see you again soon. Cheers.